Your art, your art exposes you. Art exposes truth. That's why throughout humanity, artists have been chosen as the eyes of humanity to document the beauty, the atrocities. Artists are very special in our abilities to do creatively what we do. We're almost like shaman. We are able to manifest emotions that people can feel, but they can't see them.
Damon Mescudi is a multidisciplinary artist whose abstract work explores emotion, memory, and the subconscious through color, movement, and layered composition. With more than 30 years of painting experience, Damon has developed a deeply intuitive style that invites viewers to connect with feeling over fixed interpretation. Influenced by artists like Norman Lewis, Pablo Picasso, and Salvador Dali, his work blends experimentation, emotional honesty, and powerful visual storytelling.
The real thing to me is like, whether I'm rich, poor, have a lot of money, I'm always going to be an artist. No one can take it away.
In this episode, we explore creativity, identity, healing, and the role art can play in helping us process life. Damon shares his journey as an artist, how creativity became an outlet for expression, and why building community matters just as much as the work itself. At its core, this conversation is about the human experience, our shared humanity, and what it means to become more fully ourselves. Damon, welcome to the show. So excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Nicole.
So, why don't we get started? If someone could step inside one of your paintings and walk around in it, what would they feel and what might they discover about you?
Oh, that's great. I think if someone could walk around in my paintings, is first they will see it's an amalgamation of many things. They would get to see different human complexities, a lot of pockets of insecurities, and in between all of that, it was bringing these things together to try to create this image. You would probably see a lot of different emotions and things like that, but also it would just reveal more of my inner workings in that sense.
Yeah, I love that. So, human complexities, pockets of insecurities, and emotions, really revealing who you are. And if you had to label everything that you just mentioned, what would that label be? What is one word that would describe what you just shared?
Human being.
You're a human being.
I think we all experience these things to some level and capacity, and the things that we don't experience along our journey, we learn. So
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So it sounds like your work represents the human experience.
my, my personal experience and is when you dip into the reservoir, the imagination, which is endless and boundless. You artists tend to have the ability to pull from their imagination, from deep parts of their imagination, which is intertwined with my being. So I wanted to be more. I started as an abstract artist to be more expressive, because when I went to art school and you do all this stuff and you're a graphic designer, and once I was able to master those skills, I still knew that my end product or my images or my paintings weren't emotionally charged. It was just a technique. It were really like empty vessels. As I started to deal with different things in life, my art became a great place where I was a coping mechanism. That's where I always say now at the end of everything, I love my gift, because it took me years to realize it was not something that I could just do, but it was a gift. It allowed me to clean house. It allowed me to be expressive and still be obscure to most people. And abstract allows me to do that. And but people connect with it too, because some things, as the work uses me to come, I'm a conduit and a vessel. I'm not doing it. I let it come out. It's a regurgitative thing for me.
What first pulled you toward painting, and when did you realize it was part of who you are today?
Um, it I don't know if I realized it, Nicole, or it realized me. Um, it's something that is, we have many layers as we grow and we evolve as people. It was part of my evolution. It's like I found that synergy, and I found my purpose. But because something that I throughout my life, sometimes you have to fall back, or sometimes life will knock you back, and you'll say, "Hey, let me reevaluate." A lot of times we will ignore the things we don't want to look at, and so there was things I was dealing with and coping with a lot of internal things, especially as a male that was raised by a single mom, and I accumulated all of this junk in my trunk. And as I grew, I mean, I could always draw because I wanted to be a Marvel comic book artist. That was my dream, but of course, there was no avenues for that. But there was something I aspired to. But then, as I started drawing, I started one day just painting. I got some watercolors and some paints, and I started doing that, and it was a different feeling because I wasn't trying to be literal. I was trying, hey, this is a dog. Let me do a tree. I started off with a few still lives, and after, like I told you, I was really good, so I mastered that quick. It was like the abstract thing just came almost like an internal breakdown. I fell apart onto my canvas. I just fell apart, and then so all those layers start coming off. So it exposed me to me.
It sounds so. And the imagery, the layers falling off, and the vulnerability.
Hmm.
Were you focusing on abstract full time, or was this something that you were doing on the side? What was your day job?
Oh, well, I've
Right.
always been creative. That's something I have known. I've always been creative. I wanted to be a musician at one time, and it just was all these different things. So my day job, real back, I was a graphic designer. I went to graphic school, and I came here from Cleveland. In Cleveland, I was doing some menial tasks. I came to Atlanta, in I think '84, and ended up going to the Atlanta, not the Atlanta College of Art, the Atlanta School of Art. I can't remember. It's so many years ago, and I went there for to be a what they used to call. They didn't call it a graphic designer because they always try to make things sound grand. It was like visual communications. I'm like, okay, okay, I'll take that. But I've been told this is a graphic design course, and I went to school and I became a graphic designer, and I fell into corporate. And I was started working for different subsidiaries of a larger company. Then I worked for some very large corporations, and I fell into that. So, but at the same time, my art never really went anywhere. It was like I put it in the back seat. It
Mhm.
stayed with. It's like your shadow. If you stand at a certain angle, you can almost just you can get it behind you, maybe, but it's always trying to get beside you or so you can see it. You're like, I don't want to stop it. So the art just kept manifesting in different ways.
Mhm.
And earlier in my early years, I got married, and my first wife, she pushed that. She saw that in me because once I decided, hey, I'm going to leave Cleveland, it's just dead end. It's bleak. And that was just the tone of the city, but it was where I was at that time. Like I said, as you start to, and by the time I came to Atlanta, I went to school. I became focused on school in my 20s, and then it was like, okay. But during that whole journey, that process, I needed something to help me cope. I had never moved outside of Cleveland. I'd never done anything like that. It was like I had moved and changed my whole social diaspora, and now everything was different. I became inspired with art, and then all of a sudden, it just happened.
Mhm.
It just kind of happened. I can't really say specifically. This is when I started. I can't. I I remember when I started taking it more serious because people were their reaction to it. Man, when you gonna have a show? When you gonna have an art show? I'm like, dude, you're tripping. No, I don't art show. Yeah, man, I appreciate it. It's always your friends. Your friends will do it too, and they buy the least because they your friends. You always end up giving them something like, here, man, I love you. Like, oh man, how much is it worth? I'm like, oh, great, great.
Make sure you
So
sign it, right?
yeah,
Make
and
sure.
yeah, oh, they like, I got a
Mhm.
message. I'm like, oh wow, for free, right? Now it's
For
worse. I'm don't
free.
say I never give you any money because as that name grows, that becomes a great value. But anyway,
Mhm.
it just grew on me, Nicole. It just manifested in me.
It did.
Manifestation is a different thing more than choice.
Mhm. Manifestation more than choice. I love that phrase, but I do want to know when did you finally say yes? Right? When did your art become like no longer in the shadows, but
Yeah.
right next to you? And you said, yes, I'm going to do the art show. Take me back to that
What?
time.
Um, I guess it was almost I've lost when you get to the point where you're at the precipice of everything, and it's like okay. Nothing's working. Not because you're not doing this or this and that. Sometimes it's that moment in your life, nothing's working. You went to school, you're doing this, you're not getting paid enough to elevate financially. And again, it started becoming more and more of a need for me to do that. Or when I wasn't doing enough of it, I started noticing I would have more emotional distress,
Mhm.
more depression, more anxiety. And the more I did, and more I started doing that more and more and more, not only did the universe around me start to yield to that, because the universe moves when you move, it only knows, it mimics, oh, you want more of this? Well, give me you more. And so it started giving me more things that bound itself to my movements. My movements became fluid, and I had to go there. I couldn't sit at home and watch TV and do things people do to numb myself all day long. You know, I wasn't never into alcohol and things like that. And so at the end of the day, it chose me. It chose the right time for it to manifest itself in me. And so I'm still there though. See, the thing is, that's what makes artists, to me, who we are, that we are able to express our perpetual inner conflicts that every human being has. Because on your face, you can look cool as a cucumber, and we all can. We I don't know what great philosopher said life's a stage. So when everybody comes out, I don't know if that was Aristotle, it was someone like that, or Plato, one of those guys. But life's a stage, and when you start dealing with social dynamics, we never are really who we are. We always have to go into each act and scene is something else. And your art exposes you. Art exposes truth. That's why throughout humanity, artists have been chosen as the eyes of humanity to document the beauty, the atrocities. Artists are very special, and our abilities to do creatively what we do, we're almost like shaman. We're able to manifest emotions that people can feel, but they can't see them. So again, it's just with that manifestation that's gradually happening. It's happening to me as I talk to you. My life is melting away around me again because what we're living in is not real anyway. That's how I look at things as an artist. My job is something I do, but is it my purpose? Is it who I am? And when it calls you, you're gonna answer. Whether you're a writer, everybody who's reached some point where they're doing it full time and they're living it, whether they become super famous or rich, you just have to yield to it. And that's where I'm at in my 60s now. I'm yielding to it, and I'm ready to retire and just, you know, my thing is to be useful in my community. I want my purpose to actually inspire other people.
Mhm.
Of course, we all want to sell paintings, but I have contradictory beliefs because I don't want my painting to become a product. That's like pouring my feelings into a bottle and selling them to you as a nectar so you can get high. I don't like that feeling.
When we think about what consistently inspires your work today, what would you say your inspiration is?
The condition of humanity,
Mhm.
along with a box within a box within a box, like the humanity around me and the falling apart in me and outside of me, and hope and love, and always searching to understand something.
Mhm.
Um, So there, I'm not really inspired. Like some people are inspired by nature, even though when you start talking about my nature, my work is like nature in some ways. Like I said, when it happens, because it's like fractal mathematics, which nature is, a leaf and it pops in the leaf. They create patterns, and it's a natural mathematical thing. If you're familiar with it, I'm sure, and it's called fractal mathematics, and so it just happens. But that's kind of where my work comes from.
I'd like to discuss your process and your medium. What medium do you use? Is it oil paint? Is it acrylic?
Wow, that's a good question. I'll start with something I've started doing over the last few years, my assemblage work, which is really, people really like when you taking the found objects and tearing cardboard.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you can relate to this. I remember when we were little, and there's always, for me, there was always that moment where you would go somewhere, say with your parents or your aunt or your father or mother, anywhere you would go, but you were there and there was nothing to play with, and you had to be there for an hour to you guys go outside. They don't have any toys. There's nothing to play with. So I used to go outside. If I'm sitting somewhere and I get bored, I start making stuff.
Mhm.
a childlike thing. That's where the joy comes from in creating. That's where I'm so happy and free there. We spend all of our lives trying to get back to being children. We we spend our whole life, and when I do it in the moment that happens, it's like, oh man, oh that's a face, that's a nose. Oh, I'll use this for the teeth. Oh, that'll be some lipises. Oh my god, I'm gonna break this and I'm gonna tear that. Oh, I can make this battery, and it's just a free for all of childishness.
Hmm. Hmm. And I'm
When
sure
I
that comes through your work.
Man, I gotta keep playful. It keeps you joyous. I think that's what's happening now. Because if you lose that joyous in your spirit, then things can be really bleak in world. Because sometimes life is not a kind journey. So you have to pull from the inside out. You can't pull from the outside in. And again, as an artist, I've learned to rinse. Let it do its thing, like a churn it out, baby, churn it out.
Mhm.
So that's with my assemblage. Now I love using acrylics. I started using when I first started really going. My earlier work was more really dealt with kinetic energy. So
Tell me
I started
more.
using.
Tell us more. What is that
Oh,
before we
it was wild. It was wild. It was the way I did it. It was like I learned that by watching stuff like Jackson Pollock. It wasn't.
love it?
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't his splatters. People like because when I first started getting art, people would always mimic, and then they would have show their work. I'm like, dude, that's not what Pollock was doing. We've had these great debates as artists, but Pollock, if you look at some of the old black and whites, it was how he moved and danced. It was like he was painting in the air, and when it fell to earth, it became something else. So it's my first work was more about me being on close up on my canvas in proximity. I would hold my brushes in such a way that everything was striations, and it was almost like you see on my arms were like that, and it was I could really the trajectory of my energy, my anger, or my disappointment. I could just put it right there, and then the colors would represent the level of intensity. If I started using bright colors, and some of my work got really bright and oranges for years, I love orange and reds too. So it may do something with the fire in your spirit. But so if in the way I learned that style was I was passing under a bridge going home on the highway to Ohio, and we were in traffic. It was moving slow. So I looked up. You know how you see the overpasses where you have a fence that meets the concrete and it's been there for a long time and it rains and the rust comes down, those striations. I was like, man, it's cool looking. And I just started mimicking that. But it really was an exercise on expelling my anger. It became therapeutic. As I grew, though, I started using oils to get better blending. And as I started blending more, I loved it because oils take a lot of time to blend, and they just some of the pigments and things were then at that moment were very beautiful. The thing about oil though is when you start selling paintings, it's a problem because if you get hot, people want the work, and oil doesn't dry. There's some old paintings, and I don't know how old. Maybe they might be a few. They're 50 years old or 100 years that are still. If they're thick, abstract oil paintings, they're probably not fully dry on the inside.
You've said you're community driven, not celebrity driven.
Yeah.
What does that look like in practice as an artist?
Um, a lot of artists tend to want to put themselves in certain silos or groups, especially if you're a successful artist. They want to be part of your group or you want to be part of their group because the light shines like that. It's like, you're still dealing with social behaviors as an artist. It doesn't change anything. And when you start talking about the business of art, that's a whole different thing because art is social economical. It's a luxury item in our culture. Unlike other countries, it is revered as something else. It is revered as creation, as art, as beauty. It's almost like a flower that bloomed from a human being, right? Here it's not. It's like, yeah, he's great. We can sell the crap out of it, right? So I think for me, it looks like trying to not be part of that. Adulation is great from people that genuinely care about you and are there to build you. But empty adulation because I'm all over TV or I'm all over in the art world and everybody wants you when you walk into the room. Oh my God, there he goes. Oh my God, that's Damon. Oh my God, ooh, touch him. I don't know. I think that I want to be more relevant than famous.
More
I mean,
relevant.
I want to be relevant. I want generations of young men and young women, if they when they're in art school, they have to write a thesis on me. I want to be remembered deep in the annals, in the minds of people, you know. I do a thing now where I find these artists. There's this thing on Instagram, and they post the artists that have fallen into the cracks. But some of these black artists are just, it's a machine that makes famous artists. It's
Hmm.
the machine makes super financially successful artists.
I'm going to stop you there because I'd like to learn more. What does that mean that it's a machine?
I mean, we're in a system. America's a system, and it again. I think I said this earlier. Your work is a product once you hand it over to someone else and you try to sell it. Um, the best part about being an artist is when you create it. That's like the best part of being a parent is when they're little and you create it. Oh my god! And then they get bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm like, okay, okay, that's enough, right? but it's like it's the same with art, right? Art is it's the birthing of it is the best part. The other part is, I'm going to nurture it because it's part of me, right? It's like, okay, I guess this is a forever thing. Okay. So, and that's how I look at it for me. So for me, I just want to be relevant. I want that work to inspire somebody. I had to search so hard within my community as a black male to have other black males even try to inspire me to do anything. We feed off of each other. So that's where my work becomes community and affirmation about what we can do, not what we should do. I don't try to come in as anyone's dad, but I just try to be that I talk about. I want to be that light. So that's
Mhm.
what it looks like for me. I just want to, I'm part of the Upper Circle Artist Collective. I'm the director of that. And we built that organization with other abstract artists, specifically abstract artists, because a lot of time when you start talking to the machine marketability, you will notice there's running trends within the black community. The first thing is that I was always told you're not a black artist because your art didn't it wasn't Afrocentric enough. It didn't show somebody with these bright African colors or the African imagery, or vice versa. It didn't show somebody in slavery times, or it didn't show somebody in the roaring 50s and 40s, whatever those type of things. My work was subjective, but you have people that Norman Lewis, you know, and people like that. There's so many abstract artists that built the foundation for creativity, and I think abstract artists are overlooked because it's harder to push their product.
I do want to go back and touch on the Upper Circle Artist Collective because you did
Hmm.
begin speaking about the collective, but I
Yeah.
want our listeners to better understand the mission of the
Okay.
collective and why holding space for other artists has become really important for you at this stage and at this time in your life.
I think at one point when I was painting, again, because part of the molecular transferal in your art is your ego. We all got these egos, and they just will lie, right? And so I think there was times when my ego felt hurt because people weren't acknowledging me, or when they did, it was this up and down thing. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to take that as if I'm not good enough. I'm going to take that as I'm allowing the external to control my internal. So I want to teach artists. Only 10 years ago, as I manifested into the state of being. Now I feel like an artist. I
Now you feel like an artist. That hit
mhm,
me. Now, at this age, because you just celebrated a milestone birthday, you feel like an
mhm,
artist.
yeah.
Why has it taken you so long to feel like an artist?
Because you work through your insecurities. You're gauging yourself from the external. You're gauging yourself how popular you are. You're gauging yourself that I can't sell $40,000 paintings. You're gauging yourself that I'm not at Sotheby's. You're gauging yourself that I'm not in the high. I'm not in the MoMA, because that's the way our society makes. They make us feel that everybody on the other side of the television has something special that you don't, and we all are special. Our children are being influenced by that because they don't feel special. Because why? You're not Rihanna. You're not this person. You're not that person. You're not Denzel. You're just an ordinary dude. Denzel's ordinary. He just has extraordinary work that he does, and he worked hard at that work. And then the fame and the other stuff. If you have that need in you, will find you, because money has a way of finding excellence. So I want to teach artists being excellent. be engulfed in what you want to become, and you will manifest into that. What it looks like is different for everyone. It's, but the main thing that I would love to be able to work, get up and live as an artist, totally live as an artist, and back out of corporate and live, because I've always kept balancing because of external situations. But despite any external situations now, I would fall into a bleak abyss and still be an artist, because you can't incarcerate me that way anymore. I've lived long enough to know that what's really important, being who you are, and going back to my collective. Our mission is to take that type of, we all have that type of love for our community, where we out here seeing these young artists and nobody's telling them whether they're good, whether they're bad. They fill in their head with falsities, and they come out, and everybody, it's great to have confidence, but it's also borderline delusional if you don't have talent and nobody's telling you. Or you might be talented in another area, or art just might be an expressive thing you do, but you should see the massive amount of art that's out here that probably shouldn't even be out public display until you get to a level to display it. That's my belief. Now everybody has a different. I don't stop. If somebody says, "Hey, show your work," because that's the first thing they tell you as a kid. Well, and your parents do it. You draw something cute. Girl, come in here. Look at this. Look at this. Woo, my girl can draw. Look, girl, and so it's all carries it, because we're social creatures, and it affects how we feel and how we move. But at this point in my life, it does not. I've been in this, I've been to up and down in my career, and one thing that stayed the same is that I realized it was my gift of purpose, and became my gift of choice, because I have other gifts, but it's like it was given to me to make me feel human and not like an automaton.
What have been some of the toughest challenges you faced on your creative journey, and how did you move through them? I'd love to hear more about how you were able to navigate and overcome your
Mhm.
insecurities, along with
I
other
don't know.
challenges.
You just get tired of waddling in it. You get tired.
But people waddle in it for years.
It takes a certain. I think things happen to bring you to a certain level of consciousness. As we grow, there's like 4 levels of manhood. That's why when you get to a certain age, you can't do little boy stuff no more. You got to do man stuff now. So, um, I think that mine has been, it's, I wouldn't say osmosis, it's been processed. It's that cocoon, the chrysalis, my life, and then you grow into it. It's, some people come out and it manifests immediately in the world. That's just like certain chemicals. If you pour them out, some will crystallize immediately. Some take a few more elements, like a little more heat, a little more this. Some human beings manifest their abilities later. For me, it was just I the first thing that happened is like the Matrix. It's like when they took him out the Matrix, he woke up. That part right there is what happens. I like the philosophy that they put in that sci-fi movie. It's like he woke, and when he woke up and they saw the reality, he threw up because he couldn't even cope with what was real, because he'd been in this state of mind for so long, it became real. And the real thing to me is like, whether I'm rich, poor, have a lot of money, I'm always going to be an artist. No one can take it away.
You said that with such conviction.
Yeah.
We're always going to be an artist. That is your identity.
I don't see it as anything else anymore. I would say God kept me from things that would have broken me. I was in music. I could have been a entertainer. I could have been a comedian. I could have been all these things. But just like when he put Paul in prison, he didn't put him in there to punish him. He put him in there to save him. And
That's
unless until you start reading that part, reading it, you'll see.
right.
And so
Mm.
for me, God has allowed me to manifest into something, a better version of me. I'm achieving my goals. I'm elevating. I can look at myself and see my other self fade away. And one day I'll die unto myself in my work, because that's taking me to the next level of humanity. Because that's what you take on with you when you move forward. When you're not in this space anymore, you take on your real essence of who you are. And you
Mhm.
might be confronted with that because we don't know what that looks like. But we do know that we have dual properties in our spirit that are always in conflict. A man is what he think of all day long. And society, especially with my black males, they They will take away your confidence. And that's the first thing they do. That's why we walk around in our culture, and I'm not going to get on here and say what we already see. So my job is to go around with the power in me and wake up as many people as I can and show them that I'm just a regular dude. I'm able to do this every day. That's my blessing. I'm able to feed myself. I'm able to travel the world. Then if God blesses me bigger, you open up learning centers. You do what you can because you want to be used. I want to be useful. I want to be relevant to my culture, not just my community. I want to be that relevant person. I'm not Martin Luther King. I'm not these guys, but I have weapons, and that's my art. And music and art have always captured and healed. I don't know of any art that's ever destroyed anything.
I don't know either. That's such a valid point. What is the best
Yeah.
advice you've ever received as a creative?
Believe in yourself, believe in your gift. Don't look at it, don't have a frivolous attitude about something that is so special in you. I think a lot of times, again, introspective vision takes courage. Nobody wants to deal with that. Everybody wants to portray their heaven, but they don't want to portray their hell.
Mm.
And when you get, that's just like a relationship. You taking the whole package. That's what you told God. You got the whole package. But when that hell show up, I better rethink this, right? So but with an artist, like a ninja, man, that it can't. I've learned, but you see a lot of artists struggle. I mean, Van Gogh struggled. He didn't sell. Well, he sell one. I forgot something ridiculous. He didn't sell one painting his whole life, and his life just crushed him. The mental illness and all the stuff that came on because we're still human beings. And I think part of us, you want some adulation, but but if you pursue it hard like that, that's like I used to hear the moms talk to the daughters. Men do it too, but it was always the little girl. If you doing all this to get the attention of a man, you need to look at you, and all of that. And art is that reflection because when I see stuff in my art, I'll do something in the abstract, and I'll see a dark. It'll be an evil blotch. It looks evil. It's like ah, like cartoon. And then I go, okay, okay, calm down. I'm not evil. I am not evil. But I think that we all have that. We all have those things in us. We have good and evil, and that's men's perpetual battle. It never until you leave here, you'll never become just one thing.
Never
We're
become
a
just.
you can't. It's impossible. You can't have one. You can't have a bottom without a top. You can't have a yin without a yang. Even the universe has to have something to push on. It's not infinity. That's why you're talking about the planets and gravity, all that crazy stuff they talk about in quantum physics, right? And it's the same with the manifestation of emotion into color, because color deals with energy and light waves, and it's really a transference of energy. Our imaginations are just there are endless reservoir that artists have the ability to reach into and grab. I'm not always creative.
No?
No, because life I'm over inundated. You work, life is too noisy.
So, if life is too noisy, but your identity is an artist, that's who
Hmm.
you are.
Yes,
How do you manifest the work that you do in this chaotic world that we're in with the
it's
distraction?
my defense mechanism, like a porcupine or a puffer fish. It, yeah, I go there to feel human. I go in my space where I can go in. I'm not being judged. I'm not being judgmental. I can say what I want to with total conviction, no matter how it sounds. And everything I feel inside of my spirit can be what it is. And then when you come back, I mean, it's just like why the monks go up and they isolate. I'm a very because you have to get in touch with yourself. And if you can't when it's too much noise, that's why people are running amok. When I came up, you didn't have that much noise in the 60s and 70s because you had no cell phones. You only had three channels, and they went off at 12 o'clock. So you didn't have streaming TV all night. You can leave it on all night, and even when you sleep, it just putting stuff in your brain, depending on what you're watching, because your subconscious is a permanent and it just records even when you sleep. That's what it's made to do, and I can pull from that. That's where the magic comes from. I can pull from different parts of myself, and people can't do that.
Mm.
That's what I do when the world, and I don't have to think about it. It's just it's like a knee jerk react. I just be sometimes I just become super creative. It's like somebody like almost like an alcoholic that goes on a binge. And all of a sudden you just I gotta go creative, and I just go, and I just go, and I fall in. I let myself fall in. I don't resist. I let it happen. I just let it happen. That's where I realize it's a gift. It's not a curse. It's a gift. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to start loving the things you did. You start realizing what they are. You're birthing things from a place that people can't see,
Hmm.
and you want people
Hmm.
to connect with your work, and that's where it's. But all work, art only has one, to me, one purpose: to elicit an emotional response. Anything you walk by and ignore becomes a ghost. When you walk by something, if a person walks by and doesn't speak, it's offense. It's an offense. You offended me. You couldn't say hi, excuse me, as a human being. So so art is, even if you go by and say, ugh, art is successful. It's when you don't acknowledge it at all. It's a failure in public spaces. But it may have been the most poignant thing that you've ever produced emotionally.
That's powerful. Damon, if you had the chance to sit with your younger self, what would you say?
Believe in yourself more. Believe in your talents. Believe, have confidence in yourself. Really, really do more self eval than external evaluation. Or as a younger self, I probably wouldn't be as sophisticated. Look at yourself more than you look at them. Look at yourself more than you look at them. Stop looking out the window, look in the window. Look inside.
How does someone do that?
Um, well, Nicole, we've had examples throughout history. When you heard me talk about the Buddhists, especially some of the Asian, the Eastern, and even some of the Middle Eastern stuff, they do a lot of meditation. They do a lot of quiet time. You know, you we're not built to run, 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 run. Our since inception into education, our educational systems are faulty because the way they teach. You know, it's all again adversarial, performance based, performance based, performance based, performance based. So you're never really able to find your real self until later. Now, some children are blessed, and it happens when well, you're 8 years old. The greatest word you play chess like an adult, right? So stuff like that. But that does happen because those are what they consider anomalies. That is not the everyday. The everyday, if you want to elevate, we're dealing with the Japanese culture. That's a 3,000-year-old culture, but we're told here that it's not. We're smarter. We're probably more greedier. I don't know about, but at the end of the day, they they don't even go to school until they're like 5, and all they're taught is respect. They don't have janitors in their school because they take care of their own school. So it's the introspective thing comes with having people around you that's going to keep you task oriented. When I was growing up, we had people's parents, and when you came over, if they were educators, because my mom was an educator, some parents were like, "Yeah, don't tell him not to bring his Hot Wheels, bring a book." And I would look at my mom like, "Are you kidding? You got to be kidding! This Hot Wheel I just bought is going in my pocket." Of course, you got to push back, and you were sitting there reading Green Eggs and Ham.
Love that. For someone listening who feels called to create or pursue their passion but hesitates, what would you want them to know?
Somebody wants to pursue their passion but hesitate. Um, First, find something that you would do that you don't have to be paid for. Find something that you really enjoy doing. You can do it. It's not work. Whether you're, again, a writer, a dancer, and understand in a system you're going to have to make particular sacrifices to reach your goal as an artist, depending on what you set your goals to be. So I would just tell them this, stay focused on or in tune with yourself, because a lot of things that I've learned at this point is distractions. Life has so many distractions. It's very hard to just run in the end zone. Life will block you, grab you, set you back 5 yards, knock you out of bounds. And right when you think you're going to go in the goal, you 1 yard, you fumble. And you have to still manage to stay encouraged and optimistic. That's what these people don't understand. These athletes at this high level, they get it. Because once you get the money, You want to be in the annals with the greatest people that ever did it, because the money thing wear off. It hits you first because you're only in your 20s, you go crazy. But other than that, they grow, and football is the best metaphor for life. Nothing comes without the willpower. You got to go inside, and you don't get willpower from the outside. So I'm always talking to even youngest people to what do you feel makes you joyous? What moves you? Even down to a 5-year-old, what do you really like to do? Some 5-year-olds know, I want to be a gymnast. And you'll start seeing that. And we all have raised children, and you see how one will excel one step after another. The parents will go, I'll just keep letting her swim. She a fish. Next thing she winning the gold in the Olympics. You have to connect with yourself. And it really depends on how you're being nurtured. And if you're out here and you're in front of my collective of my friends and my colleagues, we're going to nurture you the best we can and rehydrate you with encouragement. And that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, I owe it to my community. I owe being Black to my community. I owe. I've taken a lot in my life. I owe. I got to make this work. There is no plan B.
That's powerful. What's next for you? What are you working on? What exciting plans are coming down the pike?
I have a residency coming down the pike, but the growth of my organization has been just really great. We have our conduit conversations. That's been the biggest thing from just to grow this organization from a seedling. You know, we haven't been given nothing. We're not even given a lot of attention. In certain areas, we are. Well, everything is commercial. Everything is about Atlanta. Like, and I say, people say it's everywhere, and it is, but certain things intensify when you have a southern city trying to be like LA, right? And the mentality is different. It's like it looks like a chocolate cake, but its icing is chocolate, but the inside is different color. And so everything moves about that. Everything moves in a social economic way, and we want to play at that level. So I'm not mad at people that want to make money doing it. We all would love to make money, but I want to, like I said, I want to be impactful when I'm making money. I want to be impactful. I definitely want to see young people going, man, you inspired me to be this. I went to art school. I remember talking to you at one of your and you looking at it and go, oh, you're that kid that just won the such and such award. Yeah, man, it was because of you. Then you live forever. Your energy lives forever. We're only energy anyway. We're just riding around in these cars. God put me on this planet to make a difference. So, with every day, I'm going to make a difference. And right now, at our conduit conversations, bringing younger the creatives and older creatives. This month, we have one called Women in Art, and we just went through that, and we actually gave some people their flowers while they were alive. Some great artists here in Atlanta. Your Kevin Cole, Susan Ross, and Jim Alexander. Nobody was giving them awards. We created an award and gave it to them. I think God has me in the right place in my life to realize that He didn't give me this just so that I could floss and have this immense great swagger. He said, man, get outside yourself and do something for someone else.
Powerful.
Get out the way, be a light in every room you go, and understand that you're human, you're flawed, and be easy on yourself. Because life is adversarial and they got a punch for you.
Damon, it has been such a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. I've learned so much from you, and I pray that you'll come back again and join us.
Nicole, thank you for having me. It's been a blessing for me.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you left feeling inspired and energized to follow your own path with purpose and creativity. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep living your purpose.